Hi friends, it's Becky, and here's a quick little tutorial on making 5 different pairs of earrings using some beads from the June Kraftika Czech Exclusive box. This box was full of really bright, sort of pastel-y, kind of candy colored beads. And they sent some ear wires, and because there were a lot of beads that were kind of in pairs, I was really inspired to make earrings with this. During my unboxing, I actually, at the end of it, made a pair of earrings, so I'll link to that in the description below if you want to see the other pair earrings that I made. They were some chandelier earrings with some of these beads. But I wanted to just do it real quick. Let's make some earrings with these pretty beads for the rest of these today with y'all. So we're going to do that today. I've pulled out the beads. I made one of each of the earrings so you can see what we're going to make beforehand. And so we're going to be doing those. I've got some ear wires. I have some 20 gauge wire. This is what I'm going to be using for most of these earrings, is this 20 gauge wire. I've also got some chain nose pliers, flush cutters, and round nose pliers, and those are the tools that I'm going to be using. So let's start with just kind of moving these out of the way so we can get our main focus in the center of this. So let's start with our little lantern guys. We've got the check glass conch shell and then the lantern dangle. And to make this, it's a fairly simple and straightforward sort of beading design. I'm going to be making a link with the 20 gauge wire with a loop at the top and the bottom, and I'm going to attach an ear wire to the top and the dangle to the bottom. So it's one of the quickest and easiest ways to make some earrings is to take a dangle and then put a bead on a link, and you've got yourself a pair of earrings. So I'm going to start with one loop on this, and I'm just going to take the end of my wire and sort of set it about a third of the way down from the end of these pliers right there, and then just twist it around until the end meets the wire here. And then I'm going to press the bottom end of the pliers against the wire and give it a little twist back in order to get a sort of a balanced loop, a loop that isn't leaning too far over one side or another. I like to also give my loops a little bit of a squish with my chain nose pliers. It helps to work harden them so that they don't, come apart very easily. And then once I've got my bead in the way, I like to work off the spool so I don't use up too much of my wire. I'm going to measure down about 1 finger's width and measure or cut the wire, not your finger, when you do that. And then the next thing that I do is I'm going to hold on to the loop and the bead. I'm just going to push my wire over the top with my thumb. You can use another set of pliers if you want to get that going. And then I'm going to measure about 1 centimeter. Here, 1 centimeter away from the bead. Snip off that excess. And then roll up that end with my round nose pliers. And then once that's been rolled up, you take my chain nose pliers and swing open. Let me make sure. Yes. Swing open my bottom loop like that. Attach this lantern charm, and this charm is the same on the front and the back, so it doesn't matter which way I hang it. It can go either way. And then we'll take a ear wire, open this up, and these are some handmade ear wires because I only had enough of the ear wires that they sent with us for 2 of these. plus the ones that I made earlier. There we go. So that is the first set of earrings. I like these because the colors are kind of muted and moody, like a stormy shore somewhere where you might actually need a lantern. Alright, so let's move on to something a little bit brighter. For this one, I'm going to just be stacking some beads on a length of wire, and then I'm going to bend the wire up and around the beads in order to get this decorative pass with the wire over it. It also holds the heart into place, and it holds the bead where I want it to be. So for this, I'm going to take some wire and I'm going to be cutting it from the spool. And I'm going to need about 6 inches of wire. You could do it with a little bit less, but I like to have a little bit of extra just in case I need it for this type of project. Now I am going to start with the loop up here at the top, and I'm going to make a simple loop the same way I did before. About 1/3 of the way down my barrel, and after the wire has been looped around, I'm going to tip that back a little bit so that I get a centered loop. Alright, and now we're going to stack on some of these beads. And for this design, I'm using one of these teal and pink. I call them brain beads, but they do have a different name. But that's just what happens in my head. So we're going to have this one. We've got one of these star-shaped beads, 2 of these small 4mm bicones, and 1 of these metal fish heart beads. So I'm going to start, because this is the top, I'm going to start from the top and work my way down with 1 of the bicones. And then we're going to string on the heart after this bicone gets on there. I think the bottom is a little bit of that wire. It's a little bit kinked because I was having some trouble with this bicone. Just a sec. Most of these beads will fit on a 20 gauge wire without having to force it. But this one is not. That's okay. I have more, so I'm just going to swap that out. There we go. See, that fits just fine. And then I'm going to put on my little fish heart, making sure that the top of the heart is next to my loop up here. And then another one of these purple bicones. And then this pink spacer, like that. And now my little twisty bead. The actual name for these are yarn balls, not brains. Alright, now this earring twists in this direction. So I'm going to try and get my wire to twist in the opposite direction. For this, I'm holding this steady from the bottom of this all the way to the bead, and then I'm just pushing this up and curving it around that yarn ball bead, and then twisting it around those two, bringing it in front of my fish, around the back of that smaller bead, and then single wrap around the loop there. And then once that's in there, I'm just going to tuck in my excess wire. And there we go, now they are mirrored. And I can just add another ear wire, and that will be earring number 2. Sometimes I just want to make earrings, you know? And it's been a while since I sat down and made some earrings, so I'm really happy about this. Alright. So the next one is we're going to just be stacking some beads on a little spiral head pin that we're going to make ourselves. So I've got one of these beads that it's sort of fish shaped. It's got its little eye, it's got its scales on the sides, and it's this turquoise with silver on it. And then 2 of these rondelles, and then 2 more of the bicones. These ones are the orchid bicones instead of the purple ones that I used on the other one. Like I said, these are mostly like candy colored. So for this, I'm actually going to start with the swirl. And making a swirl with your wire is pretty easy, but it takes time and practice to do it. You just need to go slow, and then you can get that done really easily. So I'm going to want to take my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to grab this wire right at the tip of the round nose pliers and rotate it around. Keep it going around for just a little bit. And then we're going to take our chain nose pliers and hold on to the loop. And I'm just going to use my finger to push the wire around the outside of that loop. And again, you just go slow. Take your time with it. It's mostly moving the finger. Sometimes it might be moving this, or both at the same time, in order to get that around. Now, I'm going to go and grab my other spiral because I would like these to be matched. I just want to make sure that I've got it at the right size. And it looks like I do. So I'm going to need some space for the beads, and that looks like to be the right size for me to go ahead and snip that off so I can stack my beads on here. But before I do that, I need to make a little bend right here with my chain nose pliers in order to get it more straightened out or more centered, because right now it's like a note. You know, if you had a little something like that, you've got it tipped over to the side, it makes a little P or a 9. And I'd like it to look more like a balloon. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers. I'm gripping this pretty tightly with my fingers, just hold on to it. And I'm just going to make a little bend like that. There we go. Lollipop, balloon, something like that. So it is more centered, and then I can start stacking my beads on that. My little loop. So let me see how I stacked this before, because I just want to do the same thing. Alright, so let's get one of the purple rondelles, the orchid bicone, my little fishy guy, another bicone, and the purple rondelle. And now up here at the top, I'm going to need to make a simple loop. So I'm grasping the entire column of this to hold on to it while I bend that over the top. And then measure off 1 centimeter. I know from experience that this part of my finger measures about 1 centimeter. It's if I'm holding the bead here and the wire is right here next to the bottom of my fingernail. It is 1 centimeter in size. So I know from experience that that's how much it is, but you can measure it however you would like to get that size right. Because your fingers may be shaped differently. It may be smaller than 1 centimeter than mine is. Because different people are different. It's the terrible and wonderful thing about humans is that we are so different. Alright. And then I'm going to attach an ear wire here. And that's earrings number 3. Alright, we've got 2 more to go. And this one, we're going to be stacking on some beads, but instead of a spiral at the bottom, we're going to have a little drop attached with one of these light pink drops. And I've got the disc-shaped fish bead, metal fish that we're going to be using, some purple rondelles, and one of these orchid star-shaped beads with the pointy edges. So we're going to have all of these guys together on that one. Now for this, we're going to grab some wire. And for this, I'm going to cut off about 5 inches, 4 or 5 inches, something like that. Closer to 4. It doesn't need to be a lot. But about 1 inch down from the end, I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and make a right angle bend like that. And put my drop through it. And then I'm going to hold on to my drop and kind of push that wire there so that it follows the line of that drop. And then holding that, I'm going to push this one up so that it crosses over. And then at the point where it crosses over, the longer wire, I'm going to use my chain nose pliers, make a little bend, and then just twist with my finger that shorter wire around the long one. And it doesn't need to do a lot of wraps, it just needs to do a single wrap. And then I can snip off my excess wire. Because we're just putting that drop on the bottom. There we go. Tighten that up. And now that I've got my drop attached and wrapped, I can put the other beads on here. So I'm going to start with one of these rondelles, and then this round fish bead, one of these pointy guys, and then another rondelle. And just like with the other, right here at the top of this, I'm going to bend that over, cut off about 1 centimeter, cut off all but 1 centimeter, I should say, and then roll this up to make another simple loop. So now that I've got that loop made, let's go ahead and open up our ear wire, add it here. Some of these are very simple earrings, but you know what? I love nice simple earrings. Things that are easy to wear. I do love a good big earring. I love a good long dangle, but I like some simple earrings as well. So that is earring number 4. Now for earring number 5, we're going to make some yarn ball hoops, some braiding hoops. I have 2 of these teal and pink ones, and I've got 3 of these white and pink ones. And then these bicones are a different color. They are this like kind of a lilac-y purple color. They look great next to these others. So for this one, I'm going to cut off about 6 inches of wire. And I'm just straightening this out with my fingers, by the way. It's something that I do mostly with the wire before I get started. You just run your finger along, bend it one way, bend it the other, and it straightens out the kinks and it warms it up so that it's easier to work with. Alright, I'm going to start with a loop on this end. Just a simple loop like the others. We twist that loop back and then bend it right there at the base so that you get a centered loop. And then I'm going to bend that off to the side like that and start stacking some beads on this. I'm going to start with the bicones, and I'm just going to have these go in between my yarn ball beads. And these are going to be in this order, like that. Whoop. That order, that's much better. So let's add this one first, and then the white bead, and then another bicone, and my teal bead, then another bicone, and a white bead. I'm just going to put them on in this order. Alright. So now that that is pointing this way, I'm going to start bending this gently around back towards that original loop. It should make itself a nice hoop shape. And then I can wrap the wire around that little area that I had set aside at the beginning with my little loop. Beneath that with the rest of my wire. You can adjust it if you need to, if it's not round enough. Sometimes when I do this, I end up with a little bit more of an oval shape than a hoop shape, but these ones are falling right into place with the beads. Alright, so then you can swing this guy open. And there we go, earring number 5. So let's bring everybody out before we go. Earring number 1. One of my favorite types of earrings to make, with a dangle and a link. Earring number 2. We stacked some beads on a headpin, but we made this headpin, a little swirly guy. Earring number 3, where we did some more swirling, but it was swirling up the whole stack of beads after we got them on there. And then earring number 4, where we attached a dangle to the wire first and then added our beads. And then earring number 5 are our hoops. It's like a wreath almost with that. And these are all earrings that I made with the Kraftika Czech Exclusive box, the Kraftika subscription, is newish to me. I've had it for a couple of months, really enjoying it. Such great check glass beads that come in it, and it's really enjoyable. I have a link in the description if you would like to check them out, no pun intended, and see if you are interested in getting some of these. Until next time, my friends, happy beading.